Okay guys, so we have a lot of topics to cover in this video, so I'll make it real quick. Now to start with, just want to mention this very important news. Israel, now for the first time in a long time, they have admitted that 7 of its soldiers were killed and a number of others were wounded in a series of difficult incidents, quote unquote, that took place in Gaza and South Lebanon. Today we will be discussing more in details about this particular incident. But before I move on, just to remind you guys, most of my viewers are not subscribed. If you happen to be one of them, consider subscribing. Now don't go anywhere, because each of these topics are very significant and important, very important development. Let's start with this particular video from Al Jazeera. They are mentioning about the greater Israel, because Israel right now, they're taking up lands. They're in fact grabbing lands. They are rolling their tanks into the land of Israel, Asham, and they have now this plan that they are going to actually take Damascus from Syria. Very important incident, very significant development. Again, you do not want to go anywhere. Let's take a listen at this reporting for a few minutes, and then I'll add some more comments.
With the eyes of the world on Damascus as the SYED government falls, Israel's attention has been on southern Syria. Israeli tanks crossed into Syria, seizing more territory alongside the occupied Golan Heights, tearing up a 50-year-old international agreement designating the area a buffer zone. And Israeli warplanes have been busy in Syria too, bombing Damascus, with the Israeli military warning Syrian civilians in southern villages to stay indoors. Far-right Israeli politicians have for some time been openly discussing extending Israel's borders. They say that ancient scripture deems Syrian territory, including the capital, to be part of a greater Israel.
Okay, so there are a few things I want you to understand here. Whatever is written in the scripture is not necessarily an automatic implementation by the Israeli Zionist state. Why I'm saying this? So for example, in this case, their scripture said that Israel will extend its land and will have more control over its neighboring territories. But if you take a look at other verses from the same scripture, you will see that they are also promised in their books, in Torah and in the Bible, that they will take over Masjid al-Aqsa, which they cannot, and they are not able to do it for a very long time. Ben Gavir, the far-right extremist minister, is visiting Al-Aqsa, the masjid compound, almost on a weekly basis, every single week. He goes there with his supporters, followers, those fanatics, those lunatics, but they are not able to capture the masjid. Why? Because Jordan has objected to it, and the Muslims, and they know, the far-right extremist groups in Israel, they know if they try to attempt to take over Masjid al-Aqsa and build the third temple, that would be a red line crossed by them that will not be accepted by the Muslim population around the world. And they know they cannot do this without facing severe consequences and perhaps war, all-out war by Muslims, not by Muslim countries, because the leaders don't care about this. They will just come up with an excuse and say, okay, the masjid is gone, so what? Muslims can still pray, or Muslims are still there, or Muslims are still given some rights, so we don't want to war with Israel. It is not the government, it is the people. The Muslim population will rise up even against their own government first, if that is necessary, and then they will go and march towards the Masjid al-Aqsa, because this is a big red line if Israel cross it. Therefore, everything that is written in the scripture, not necessarily a mean for them or an excuse for them to implement it, because it is not possible for them. They know they will be destroyed. Take a look at what is happening in Gaza. I will actually make mention of this huge defeat for the Israeli Zionist forces in Gaza. I'll explain more. But if you take a look at what is happening in Gaza for the past more than 1 year, they are not able to capture any inch of land in Gaza, not able to establish their authority there. They're not able to get rid of Hamas. They're not able to achieve anything in Gaza. It's a total waste for them. But obviously they're committing this genocide, getting out of it nothing. So don't panic if these extremists, they have this kind of rhetoric coming that we are going to capture Syria, Lebanon, and all of these surrounding areas because we believe in greater Israel, and this is what our scripture said. Don't be panicked by this kind of rhetoric. But I want you to take a look at this video a little bit more from Al Jazeera so that you can understand better.
So are these theories a far-right fantasy or an indication that Israel intends to expand in Syria? What are Israel's plans, and will it seek to exploit the turmoil in Syria? We'll get to our guests in a moment, but first, this report by Katia Lopez-Horeyan.
Shortly after Syria's President Bashar al-Assad's removal from power, Israeli tanks rolled into Syrian-controlled areas in the Golan Heights buffer zone, with villagers warned to stay indoors.
Okay, another thing that you will notice is this. Every time they go to a place, they go with a lot of precautions, and they should. I mean, otherwise they'll be completely stupid if they don't do this. However, when they approach a land, they make sure there is no fighters there. For example, when they went into Lebanon, they made sure that there is no resistance waiting there, i.e. Hezbollah. So what they did was they used fighter jets. They bombed the area over and over and over again, day in, day out. And once they found out there's nobody hiding there, that's when they made the move. Exactly same thing is happening with Syria. They go to this Golan Heights region, making sure that there is no fighter, no Syrian rebels presence there. And they give warning only to those innocent women and children that, hey, we are coming, be aware of that. So they live up to the name of diaper army every single time. Netanyahu recently, he visited the area along with the Golan Heights side, that border, and he obviously said, we are not in Golan Heights permanently in Syrian side of it. We are just here temporarily and making sure that our citizens are safe, which could be an excuse for him to use his force to capture, even if they can, 1 inch of land and make the Israeli Zionist territory a little bit bigger. Not the greater Israel that they find in their scripture, but at least grab some more land because they cannot control themselves. These are thieves. They will take anything from you if they can. Even a glass of water, they will take it away from you. Because these people are greedy and they're thieves. They cannot help their instincts, their addiction to steal and grab more lands from other people.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the move is temporary to ensure security as the war rages in Gaza and fighting in Lebanon.
This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah and Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its oppression.
Some analysts say Israel may see Syria's political transition as an opportunity to expand its territory into the country. Israel's far-right minister Bezalel Smotrich has in recent months talked about what he describes as a strategy for a greater Israel, one backed by others on the far right of Israel's political establishment. It seeks to invoke the Bible and Torah to justify expanding Israel's territory across parts of the Middle East, including extending Israel's borders to Damascus, as he explained in a TV documentary by the French Arte channel.
I want a Jewish state.
What does that mean?
A Jewish state, it's very complex. It's a country run according to the values of the Jewish people.
Israel's sovereignty extends from the sea to the Jordan. Does it end there, or do you go on to conquer the other side of the Jordan?
Absolutely, but slowly. Our great religious elders used to say that the future of Jerusalem was to extend as far as Damascus.
Okay, so again, our elders said this, our scripture said this, but what we see is that they're struggling even to keep Gaza. They are struggling to win anywhere. Quite frankly, they have been defeated in Lebanon. They were not able to grab 1 inch of land in Lebanon. They returned empty-handed. Now they see dreams of conquering Arabian Peninsula, much of it. and establish the greater Israeli propaganda that they spread. Of course, this narrative will not hold because Israel has admitted that 7 of its soldiers were killed and a number of others were wounded in a series of difficult incidents that took place in Gaza and South Lebanon today. The Gaza resistance remains relentless, conveying a daily message to the Israeli army that it will never find peace in Gaza. This message was communicated today, particularly in the Jabalia refugee camp, where a large number of Israeli soldiers were killed and wounded when they came under attack by the Palestinian resistance fighters. This is the same diaper army that dreams for a greater Israel. And then Israeli army, they have admitted more to this. The Israeli army have admitted that 3 soldiers were killed and 12 others were wounded in the Jabalia attack. According to Israeli Channel 14, the Israeli casualties belong to the Givati brigade, adding that 10 Palestinian fighters had attacked an army force using rockets and automatic weapons. These 10 fighters of resistance forces, they come with weapon that is very backwarded, if you like. In fact, most of the times these are modified from Israeli weapons. So when Israel, for example, when Israel attacked Gaza, they use a lot of bomb, a lot of shells, a lot of tank, a lot of other weapons. Once they leave, these forces, resistance forces, they use those same metals, for example, or detonators, to make their own bomb, custom made at home, and they use those same things to attack the Zionist forces. And can you imagine, only 10 of them caused death of 3 soldiers and injured 12 others. And I believe those 12 others who got wounded will also lose their life because of this attack by only 10 soldiers with weapon that is not absolutely sophisticated whatsoever compared to what Israel has. Nevertheless, guys, they're losing the battle in Gaza, and they talk about sometimes they're winning in Lebanon. They are just faking it all. Now, not only this, but also take a look at this one. Yemeni armed forces, they have vowed that their support for the Palestinian people will not stop until Israel's aggression ceases. And this is where things get complicated for Israel now, because they have dealt with Hezbollah's rockets and missiles and projectiles for the past several months, only to now find out that they still have to put their guard on and activate all the air defense system 24/7, because they do not know when the next missile or ballistic or cruise missiles will come from Yemen. In other words, they will always have to look up at the sky to find out if a new threat is emerging. The Yemeni armed forces affiliated with the Ansarullah movement, they have confirmed on Monday that it had carried out a drone attack on a sensitive quote-unquote target in the Yavni area south of Tel Aviv. So a sensitive target, we do not know what kind of target, but Yemen is claiming huge victory over these attacks on Tel Aviv. It is not that they are saying we just have targeted or that we have launched missiles, but they are also claiming that the drone or these missiles, they have hit the target successfully, and they make statements. So if you take a look at this one, for example, the drone successfully hit its target. Spokesman Yahya Saria said in a video message. Again, we will find out more about this, but as we know, Israel has a gag order against anyone, whoever will be talking about the damage and the casualties happening inside of Israel because of those attacks. Now, I want you to take a look at this video too. Now we're finding out, and this is coming on, I believe, in Times of India, Iran is now saying that Assad has betrayed Iran by leaking information to Israel. Iranians make bombshell reveal. Let's take a listen at this video and see what they're saying. So, Tehran's shocking revelation. Okay, the shocking revelation about Assad. betrayed Iran. Let's actually play it a little bit more here. They said basically that liability, so this is coming from Iranian generals, liability, unreliable, misbehaved. Iran's big expose on Assad. He was a betrayer. Iran wanted Assad to be thrown out. Again, coming from this particular video. Shocking revelation on Iran-Syria ties after collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime. And I made mention of this many times, that Bashar al-Assad was not comfortable having Hezbollah's weapon transported to Lebanon using Syria. Financial Times report claimed Iranian officials viewed Assad as increasingly unreliable. And this is why perhaps we don't see him going or fleeing to Iran. Rather, he goes to where? Russia. Tehran reportedly accused Syria of failing to protect Iranian interest from Israel. Of course, he did not care. The Israeli strikes led to weakening of Iran's influence in Syria as per reports. So I'm not going to be playing the rest of the video because you already have a gist of it, which is that Iran is absolutely upset with Assad for what he has done. Now, I want you to take a look a little bit more about the Syrian response, how this guy, Jawlani, has hinted, according to Al Jazeera, about his action on Israel. Even though I did not find any clear message from him, but nevertheless, Al Jazeera said through this speech, I'll play the video in a second, Jawlani hinted that he is going to take action against Israel.
It's too early to know how Syria's main opposition leader Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani will work with other rebel groups, and ultimately how they will address Israel and Iran. But he's given an indication of his thinking.
This victory, my brothers, is a new chapter in our history. It is a turning point for the region. How many dangers have we avoided? Assad handed Syria over to Iranian ambitions, spreading sectarianism and corruption throughout the country.
Okay, so when he said that Assad handed Syria to Iranian, how about Israel has taken over Syria right now? How about that? Is he going to say anything about that? Because he's coming under attack not from Iran at the moment, but from Israel. They have targeted weapon depot in Syria. Their airport, Khalkhala airport, came under attack yesterday. The military bases in Syria used by Syria itself, Syrian army, and also Iranian army military are coming under constant attack. So I want to know how this guy will address those instead of just talking the talk and not taking action. Obviously, he is now forming a new government, and we will see more coming in the next few days. However, I do want to know what is his plan. Also, what is going to be Erdogan's plan, because this guy Erdogan, he has a big ego, and he's not going to take anything from any crap from Netanyahu. So how these two egoistic leaders, if you want to call them that way, would clash in Syria is something I want to wait and watch. But let's actually play the video here.
Was the Syrians themselves, and it's in Syrians' hands to determine how their future looks like.
With Hamas weakened in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, some analysts say Israel is intent on advancing further into Syria to reshape the dynamics along the border. Katia Lopez.
Okay, so again, if they want to reshape the border, and they are saying they will, I want to know how the rebels will react. As I said from the beginning of my channel, all the videos that I'm making, I said I will be brutally honest with my reporting. Therefore, you can expect from me blasting at these rebels if they don't take action against Israel. I don't care which side you are on. If I see something wrong, if I see an inaction, I will talk against it. Now, here is what I want to say a few things about what is happening, all the reaction of the Arab countries. So Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and I think it was Jordan, 3 countries, or maybe Egypt. They made a public statement recently, and they criticized Israel for taking over part of Syria and violating the agreement that was made with them, especially the Golan Heights Agreement in 1974. They are asking Israel to back off, not to grab any land from Syria, not because they care about Syria, but because number one, they care about their own country, which could come under attack in the future by Israel, who knows. But they want Israel to maintain or honor the treaties so that it will not become a big headache for these countries and a big embarrassment for them. And so they made a statement. Obviously, all the time they talk, they don't do anything. What I have also noticed is this: Erdogan's absence in all of these rhetorics, especially when it is coming from the Saudi leaders or the Arab leaders. Erdogan is keeping it quiet. He doesn't want to open his mouth. Does he have a plan? Is it done with his talking? Now time to take action. Will be something we'll find out very, very soon. Thank you guys for joining this session. See you in the next video.